Huge Padres free agent pitcher signing could be inbound. I'm Christian Pedersen, back with another episode of Padres Digest. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are new to the channel, which I'm assuming most of you are right now, I got to remind you all to hit that subscribe button so we can hashtag beat LA in all things. That is our motto. So that's why we got to beat Dodgers Digest in terms of subscribers during the year so that we can put the good vibes out to the Friars on the field this season. All right, I said let's talk about some pitching free agents that are out there, and Roki Sasaki is still on the market, but there is another arm at a good value that I think the Padres should be and could be all in on, and that is Carlos Estevez. Let me show you his numbers last season from the Phillies. Estevez is a guy right now who is the perfect 7 or 8 inning arm for the Padres, and I say 7 or 8 because bullpens are becoming more flexible in the modern day and age, but the Padres have an established commodity at the closer. This guy, right now, what he is asking for in the range contract-wise is 2 to 3 years, somewhere between 10 and 13-ish million dollars. And I know that that is expensive in principle, but Tanner Scott, one of the Padres' current relievers that fills that role, is asking for more than that. Estevez and Scott, I think, relatively similar stats-wise, so this could be a good value to let a guy. I know that Tanner Scott is a lefty, and that's something that you want, but statistically speaking, when we have a guy like this who's low on the home runs versus innings, his strikeouts are great. His ERA is what I am really in love with in terms of the opportunities for the Padres. Like, if he can come in, pitch 50 to 60 games in the version of baseball that the Padres are going to have this year, where we've got 1 or 2 solid starters, 1 or 2 good starters, and then the bottom 4 or 5 slot is going to be filled by a revolving door of okay, serviceable major league guys. There's going to be a need for players that can keep the ball, or pitchers that can keep the ball in the park and let the defense get outs and just kind of keep things moving. And I think that Estevez could be a great signing for the Padres on that front. He adds, like I said, that 7 or 8 inning arm that extends the bullpen's life, and we get it. If the Padres can land it at somewhere in that 10, maybe $12 million range, I think it could be just an underratedly good contract. Not saying that this guy's going to be a full-blown all-star, but I think that this would be the kind of move, given what we're looking at this offseason so far being of not signing any players and letting guys go. So right now you've got Jurickson Profar, who's kind of a ex-Padre nebulously. Are we going to make an offer? Are we going to play an offer? Everything's kind of close to the vest. We got Tanner Scott as a free agent. We got Ha-Seong Kim, who no Padres connection has been heard of there, so assuming we are going to let him walk. If the whole offseason is dedicated just to letting players go and all in on Sasaki, that's great. That's fantastic. If they don't land him, though, Padres better be ready to sign some players just to send out a message of, hey, we're not completely giving up. If they do get him, I still think that if you can find 10 more million and combine Sasaki and Estevez in the bullpen, then we're cooking. Like, that Padres overall pitching situation becomes like a solid A- instead of somewhere in the B range. Estevez maybe takes it from a B to a B+, because like you said, he's a very reliable, serviceable guy who can help the Padres get a ton of much needed outs in those bridge innings where we sometimes historically have seen the franchise, not necessarily recently, but historically we have seen the franchise be unable to get from those bridge, 5, 6, 7 innings from. They've got a good closer, they've got a good setup guy, they've got an okay starter, but they've got nobody to help us make sure that lead stays intact when the starter leaves. And starting pitchers in baseball, they just don't go that deep anymore. Darvish and Michael King, both great guys, but both guys that you don't necessarily want to tax super long innings because they throw a high pitch count. It sometimes takes 4 or 5 pitches, 5, 6 pitches to get outs consistently for them, just because their stuff moves so much and is so filthy and is hard to hit. So that means that you got to have guys sometimes who can just be that 6th, 7th inning where it's that solid shutdown. It's almost the save in and of itself, because it nips any momentum in the bud and then sets it up for the Padres to have a great 8 and 9 guy. And I think Estevez, like I have mentioned throughout the entire thesis of this video, not just is that guy, but could be a very good sign for the Padres to have good things to come for a reliable bullpen this year. But we all might just be in a holding pattern until Sasaki makes his decision. I would assume, though, as soon as we hear the Sasaki news, we hear Estevez news within 24 hours of that, because I think that teams will be eliminated from potentially having to earmark money, so other teams might up some offers, other teams might swoop in and come. I think the market gets very hot for him and the couple of other pitchers that are still out there waiting to make their decision once that first domino falls, like I said, with Sasaki. So look for Carlos Estevez to be a potentially bellwether signing or non-signing for knowing whether or not the Padres are making any effort on improving the pitching staff this season. Let me know, though, what you think, whether or not we should sign him, whether or not signing him would be any good for the Padres. And as always, make sure you smash that subscribe button so all of the Padres Digest news that we have all season long can be dumped right into your timeline without you having to go anywhere or search anything out. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next time.